Hi guys, it's JoeAntonio back again. Today we're covering off on oil changes. So we're going through a few videos that I've put together around maintenance, around the mowers. And so this is my Honda HRU196, and today we're here and we're looking at the oil. So I like to change the oil yearly. So once a year I get in there. We don't do a lot of hours. You use it more often, you're going to have to change your oil more often. You've got to look at your running hours and how often you're going to change the oil. So first thing we're going to do with oil changes is I like to use a warm engine. So we're going to fire up the Honda, get it warm, and then we'll go through the process of changing oil. A few things you're going to need to change the oil before you start. There's no oil filter to worry about. You'll need some oil. The Hondas recommend, I think it's 10W30, and what I've got here is 1040. It's a bit bigger in the range. I like to use any good quality motor oil, whatever brand you like, and within very close to the range I recommend. And depends on your climate as well. So you're going to need some oil, and you're going to need an oil pan. So collect your oil. So this is a 5 litre one. There's only about probably half a litre of oil less than here when we take it out. So that's plenty for this job. Okay, we'll run the Honda up, we'll get it warm, and then we'll go through the process of changing the oil. We'll take a pause while I run the engine. Okie dokie, we're back again. We've run the Honda around the yard, we've got it nice and warm. So what we now need to do is get some elevation. So the oil will go in the same way it comes out, through the oil filler. So that's this here. So what we'll do is we need to get some height to get some oil in there. You could potentially tip it straight over into the pan, but you won't get enough height. So you can use some blocks. There's some pavers or anything like that. A piece of lumber is always good. Okay, so we're just going to tilt. Okay, tilt it over. You might need a hand with this. And you get the pan under there. And this is okay, so we're getting the oil coming out now. It's actually not too bad. Like I said, I do this every year, and subsequently the oil is pretty good, Nick. You can see it's gone off a bit, but it's not too bad. You want to get out as much as you can and tilt it right over. Okay, we'll tilt it back. So dipstick in so we don't get the oil. We're finished with this piece of timber now. Okay, so that's how much oil we've got. It's not a lot. So what we're going to do now is, it's always a good idea to put this oil into another container for disposal. You want to get rid of that responsibly. Okay, we've got our container. So I've got an old milk bottle, and we're just going to recapture that oil. And if you can see that oil running through there now, a bit hard to make it out, I know. Its consistency is not real good. And you can see that oil You see that oil in there is it loses its consistency and starts to break down. It won't stick to the internals of the engine properly. So the more oil that sticks to the internal of the engines, the less wear and tear. Once it starts to break down, it doesn't do its job anymore. So what's going to happen is, yes, you can go for 5 years without changing your oil. The importance is here that if you change your oil regularly, your mower's going to last longer. You're going to get your engine, like these Hondas, can go a lifetime if they're looked after. So change your oil regularly, no matter what mower you have. Obviously, if it's 2-stroke, you don't need to go there, but for the 4-strokes, you need to change its oil, and that's how much oil we've got out of it. So that container is 1.5 litres. So we're looking at about just under half a litre of oil, and we need to put back in. All right. So what we need to do now is, one thing I didn't mention before, you want to make sure around this filler, like this one is clean because we've just done the carburetor job on it and it's all cleaned up. But if yours has got grass around that filler, you want to make sure that that's all cleaned up before you take that cap off. It must be clean, okay? So we'll drop the cap out. Yeah, this part here you can use a funnel. And a lot of people like to measure theirs out, so you know how much you've taken out. So potentially you could just mark that bottle and refill it and put it back in. I've got to be honest, yeah, I just do it by feel. I've done a lot of times. You want to use a clean rag. There's a dipstick here. There's markings on the dipstick. You want that oil to come up about halfway on that dipstick. You don't want too little. You don't want it to be down the bottom. You want to keep it up towards the top, but you don't want to have too much oil in it because you'll blow the seals in your motor. So keep that oil. You'll see when we dip it. Okay, so we're just going to check the level again. Put your dipstick in. It's a bit hard to see sometimes with the new oil. Right. It's just on the edge there. It's just on the edge there. It's right up the top. So you definitely wouldn't want any more than that. If you get too much oil in here, you just drop a bit back, tilt it back over, drop a little bit of oil back. So I think we're just right on the edge there, and that's pretty much perfect. You don't want to go over. What I suggest you do here is let this engine sit for a while. Now you've changed your oil. It'll settle back down through the filler here, and then check the oil before you use the engine, okay? And make sure when you do this, when you're checking the oil, it's on a level slab, wherever you are, level ground. Make sure it's pretty level, otherwise it'll tilt backwards and forwards inside the motor, and you won't get an accurate reading. Okay, so that's it. We've done it. It's literally a 5-minute, 10-minute job. If you've got everything you need, just go in there, oil pan, drop it out, put some new oil in. It's really not a lot of work. So that's it. Thanks for watching.